The story of Wuthering Waves has yet to be told. Hiding beneath its depths lies a very, very, very dark truth and prophecy that has already been foretold.
Okay, maybe I'm being a little dramatic. Hi, welcome to Thought Provoking. My name is B. I am your host. This is my first video ever, but to preface, I absolutely have loved gacha games since basically Genshin and around time Honkai Star Rail came out, and I absolutely loved the lore. So when it came to Wuthering Waves, I immediately loved the game. Especially, I love the combat, but I love the lore, and I feel like we have been given so many strings that we can make so many theories off of now, and I just felt compelled to make videos about it because I found this fun. So yeah, welcome to my channel. If you happen to like me, subscribe. If you don't, please don't. Sorry, leave. But yeah, otherwise, let's get started. And yeah, remember, this is a discussion, so if you think I'm completely wrong, please let me know in the comments. I want to hear y'all's thoughts. Like, more the merrier. Period.
Both the interrogation and my appointed meeting with Rover have already finished.
Scar only needed the two of you as his audience. We already knew what he wanted, and we let him have as much.
He decrypted every message we intended to convey. It's only proper you meet him in person, as the one who crafted those puzzles. Such intricate puzzles. I guess only Rover has the patience to solve them all.
No detail is too small. I'm sure he understands. Besides, not seeing the opponent heightens the thrill of the game. If everything goes according to the prophecies of Jue, I will meet him in person eventually. So, what did our captive from the Fraxidus tell you about Jue?
I genuinely really hope I wasn't the only one obsessing about that small detail. But in all seriousness, in that last clip, Jinshi, the magistrate of Jinzhou, was on the phone with her counselor, as we figured out later in the game, Chang Li. And while discussing the puzzles they set up for us rovers that we solved at the beginning of the game, just casually say, you know, not seeking the opponent heightens the thrill of the game. How are we an opponent to Jinzhou and its leaders? We just got back here, bro. Are we in fucking Solaris High School? In all seriousness though, now while this could have been in a metaphorical sense as in a wagey opponent, as we figure out later in Mount Firmament, let's also remember that since the beginning of the game there has been rumors in the street present in Jinzhou, and not only Jinzhou but the town of Hogzen in Mount Firmament, as I said earlier. So the origins of Jinzhou is Mount Firmament, and there even the people are saying that Chang Li is manipulative. And yes, while they may have been tinfoil hat men, two things can be absolutely true at once. Which is why I want to remind you that Kuro reminds us all the time, no detail is too small. Okay, bet. I'm dipping with this breadcrumb then. I'm gone. Bye. So they may have called us an opponent as like a game thing, but why are we an opponent in your game? Let's start out that way. Like, aren't we supposed to be on the same side of the chessboard, girly? But after seeing this clip, I was genuinely slumped about it for weeks. I looked everywhere, I tried to search up the meaning of everyone's name, and I could not find it. Until one fateful night at 3 AM when I was dying on my couch from a cough attack, this amazing video came up on my YouTube page. I'll link the video down below, but it's by this creator called Sindeymar, and it's called The Biggest Secret Found in Wuthering Waves. It's a 4-minute video and super informative. So basically, he went to the Creatures World wiki and he was able to find the origin of Rover and the silver-haired god. And after watching this, like, I was quiet screaming. I was like, I just lost my child! And my brother told me how. I think it's Fimbutler. I don't know, okay? Google Translate said a Fimbutler, but it sounded wrong. Just, yeah. Have fun saying that one. Okay, maybe I'm just dumb. But we know that that is Rover and Inake is the silver-haired God. And so that brings us to the point of Odin, because that is another name for Odin in Norse. Wild.
Oh my god, cholesterol!
In Norse mythology, he was the god of both creation and balance, and was able to create balance. Because you're creating balance, like any tipping scale, chaos is bound to follow in his path. So, do we pose a threat to Jianzhou and the leaders because we disrupt the peace that they have created for themselves? Mind you, Chang Li, the head counselor, is displayed by a phoenix. Her name means phoenix, while with Zhui, his name means dragon, symbolized by a dragon. In a lot of Chinese literature, that is explained as a yin and yang. So I find it really interesting, maybe this threat of someone like Odin coming down who creates this balance, this peace, and who maybe is ushering in a new world, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, we're posing a threat, man. Because the dragon and the phoenix symbolizing yin and yang, so they've already created their own peace. So in their eyes, they see us as an external force that may be disrupting that.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Mind you, they also have prophecies of Zhui that we have no idea about. They have way more access to his information than we do. What's also interesting is they have a lot more information about our past that we don't know. Because if we were the arbiter Zhui, he probably knows more than he's not telling us. Let's be honest. But more about Jinzhou in another video, because that was a whole nother rabbit hole I went down, and I really do want to talk about it because it was really fascinating. But I believe it is inspired off something just completely different for this part. So something I want to mention too is to have balance, things must be created and or destroyed. And it's kind of similar to the law of conservation of mass, which specifically states that mass cannot be created nor destroyed, but rather the energy transfers. I also find it really interesting how Wuthering Waves does tie a lot of science concepts that we use today, and they call them old world science, but we can use our brains, put the 1 and 2 together, that they're probably pretty connected, and therefore we can use those theories to kind of help us world build Solaris-3. Now, don't get me wrong, I really don't want to be the bad guy. And I really think there's a lot of people in the world that don't see us as an enemy, okay? Because when it comes down to people like Yang Yang, Alto, Encore, Chazika, I can't Rover, and they don't care about Rover just because of their past. They care about Rover because they genuinely care about people and they have good hearts. And because Kuro is very good at making these nuances between characters, it's also why I make that nuance that if they're saying that we are an enemy in a game, that detail is not too small because these are leaders, and we have to assume that there's going to be people in the world who are opposite of that and who are going to manipulate us. And it would be a very naive thought to think everyone, including leaders, are going to treat us like that. Because we saw what Scar tried to do with us. What if Jinshi and Chang Li's just doing it classier? As we all know the saying, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. Now, what can these connections to Norse mythology actually tell us, and actually tell us about the world of Solaris-3? We're talking about Ragnarok. And no, I am not talking about God of War Ragnarok. I am talking about the story Ragnarok. You motherfuckers who was thinking about Kratos, I see you! I see you! We ain't talking about Kratos no more. So I'm gonna have this link below, but this site is called Norse Mythology for Smart People. It was actually a pretty easy read, so maybe I'm just really smart, guys. Like, who knows? Maybe we're all just really smart, but I'm gonna read this along because it does give a really, really good understanding, summary of the story of Ragnarok, and leave a link in the description if you guys want to read it, because they have links to literally every other element of Norse mythology that, like, they could link in here. Vikings, gods, cosmos, like all that's linked, all the different gods are linked. So if you want to do more research, I'm linking this down below. It's a super duper good resource. They have a lot of things here. Fire, fuego info. So side note, if my pronunciation isn't perfect, I used Google Translate to try to help me. So I'm sorry in advance, but without further ado, here is the story of Ragnarok, and I will have this linked in the description, and they also have citations where they got all their sources, so it's just a big citation mess now, but in a good way, because we love citations. Alright, not exaggerating, this is actually my 10th time recording this. I am trying my absolute best with the pronunciations, but if I do not get it right, Please do not crucify me. I am trying my absolute hardest. Without further ado, here is the story of Ragnarok, the fate of the gods. Someday, whenever the Norn, those inscrutable spinners of fate, decree it, there shall come a great winter, sometimes angelicized as Fimbulwinter. Unlike any other world has yet seen, the biting winds will blow snows from all direction, and the warmth of the sun will fall, plunging the earth into an unprecedented cold. The winter shall last for the length of 3 normal winters with no summers in between. Mankind will become so desperate for food and all other necessities of life that all laws and morals will fall away, leaving only the bare struggle for survival. It will be an age of swords and axes. Brother will slay brother, father will slay son, and son will slay father. The wolf, Skull, and Hati, who have hunted the sun and the moon through the sky since the beginning of time, will at last catch their prey. The stars too will disappear and leave nothing but black voids in the heavens. Yggdrasil, the great tree that holds the cosmos together, will tremble, and the trees and even the mountains will fall to the ground. The chain that has been holding back the monstrous Wolfrenir will snap. The beast will run free. Jormungand, the mighty serpent who dwells at the bottom of the ocean, encircles the land, will rise up from the depths, spilling the seas all over the earth as he makes landfall. These convulsions will shake the ship Naglfar, free from its moorings. The ship, which is made from fingernails and toenails of dead men and women, will sail easily over the flooded earth. Its crew will be an army of giants, the forces of chaos and destruction. Its captain will be none other than Loki, the traitor to the gods, who will have broken free of the chains from which the gods bound him. Fenrir, with fire blazing from his eyes and nostrils, will run across the earth with his lower jaw on the ground and his upper jaw on the top of the sky, devouring everything in his path. Jormungand will spit his venom all over the world, poisoning land, water, and air alike. The dome of the sky will be split, and from the cracks shall emerge the fire giants from Muspelheim. Their leader shall be Sir, with a flaming sword brighter than the sun in his hand. As they march across Bifrost, the rainbow bridge to Asgard, the home of the gods, the bridge will break and fall behind them, and ominous horn blast will ring out. This will be Heimdall, the divine sentry, blowing the Gjallarhorn to announce the arrival of the moment the gods appeared. Odin will anxiously consult the head of Mimir, the wisest of all beings, for counsel. The gods will decide to go to battle, even though they know what prophecies have foretold concerning the outcome of the clash. They will arm themselves and meet the enemies on the battlefield called Vigrid. Odin will fight for Nir, and by his side will be the Einherjar, the host of his chosen human warriors whom he has kept in Valhalla for just this moment. Odin and the champions of men will fight more valiantly than anyone has ever fought before, but it will not be enough, for Nir will swallow Odin and his men, and one of Odin's sons, Vidar, burning with rage, will charge the beast to avenge his father. On one of his feet will be the shoe that has been crafted for this very purpose. It has been made from the scraps of leather that all human shoemakers have ever discarded, and with it Vidar will open up the monster's mouth, and he will stab his sword through the wolf's, killing him. Another wolf, Garm, and the god Tyr will slay each other. Heimdall and Loki will do the same, putting a final end to the trickster's treachery, but costing the gods one of their best in the process. The god Freyr and the giant Surt will also be the end of each other. Thor and Jormungand, those age-old foes, will finally have their chance to kill each other. Thor will succeed in felling the great snake with the blows of his hammer. The serpent will have covered him in so much venom that he will not be able to stand for much longer. He will take 9 paces before falling dead himself, adding to the blood to the already saturated soil of Vigrid. Then the remains of the world will sink into the sea, and there will be nothing left but the void, creation in all current sense completely undone as if it never happened. Some say that this is the end of the tale, and of all tales for that matter, but others hold a new world, green and beautiful, will rise out of the waters. Vidar and few other gods, Vali, Boldar, and Holdar, and Thar's sons, Modi and Magni, will survive the downfall of the old world, will live joyously in the new one. A man and woman lived in Liftrazir, named after life and striving after life, will have hidden themselves from the cataclysm in a place called Wood of Hodmimir, and will now come out to populate the lush land in which they find themselves a new son, the daughter of the previous one. So, at the end of the day, what does this story really help us achieve in the world of Solaris-3? Well, boy, do I got theory for you. So, basically, following some of the themes from Ragnarok, I think that the lament has already destroyed Solaris many, many, many times, and we as Rover watched on the black shores. I know, mic drop. Everyone's going crazy. I get it. But it makes sense once you look into the story of Ragnarok. So as we know in the story, that's the story of the end times, or basically the god of fate coming down, or not the god of fate, but the Norns saying, hey gods, it's time for a new world, basically. Or just time for the end of the world and for an ever-existing void. Just a big black hole, basically. So saying that in this universe, Anake is like the Norns, or the goddess of time, and the former Grim Reaper, her titles can start making a lot more sense in the world of Solaris. She was the Grim Reaper of the last planets on Solaris. Additionally, which I want to throw in here, is a big theme of New Age spirituality, and really any type of New Age Buddhism, is that we hear good vibrations, good energy, high vibrations. Well, a lot of people with those beliefs believe that if your energy is high vibration, you're going to be going into a new world, whereas if it's low vibration, because you have not ascended, usually your timeline ends and your soul will go somewhere else to grow. That being said, mixing that in Norse mythology will give us an idea about the lament a little more. Specifically, the goddess of fate, Anake, or the silver-haired goddess that we saw at the beginning of the game, is only going around and is basically having this Mobius loop with Solaris-3 and destroying it over and over because of the bad vibrations, and therefore that's causing the lament, people feeding off this despair. And so Rover and Shorekeeper watched on the shores and watched the Mobius loop go over and over on Solaris-3, watched history repeat itself over and over. So when Anake had to wipe Solaris-3's fate again, instead of watching in the same Mobius loop, the Rover decided to sacrifice themselves by leaving the shores during the last lament. And that's what brings us to the beginning of the game, in the void, after Solaris was destroyed. Our mother god, the former Grim Reaper, the mother of the fate, and the Grim Reaper of the past world, putting us back down on Earth in Solaris-3 to stop the lament and abnormal frequencies from destroying Solaris once and for all. Now, there are more lines that Shorekeeper has that really does insinuate towards this theory. She says things like, you lost much more than your powers, and things like, you had reasons to cut ties with their past. It's just really strange for someone who is seen as such a hero, so holy, a protector. Why did we leave our legacy behind so fast? Or was it our most heroic move yet? To have the world forget us completely, only to come back while the world is about to get destroyed. As judgment comes, we fight like Odin did in Asgard, except win. But can we? Can we break the Mobius loop? And can we win the Battle of Vigrid? Well, that's a theory for another day, and that's a whole nother thing. But at the end of this video, I just want everyone to ask themselves this question, because this is the biggest question I've been sitting on and I don't even know the answer. And this is a morality question, nothing more, nothing less, and there is no right or wrong answer. But is fate decided? Is it written in stone? So therefore, no matter what actions we do will lead us to the same result at the end of the day? Or do our own actions decide our fate in the different paths we take, and therefore much like a multiverse? Anyways, have a great rest of your day.